Okay, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we will start with Emile Durkheim today. Okay, so tell me what all things you know about Emile Durkheim so far. We have discussed about Emile Durkheim when we discussed about scope of sociology also, and 2-3 times I have made the references about Emile Durkheim when we discussed about Marx also. So, and when we discussed about science, scientific methods and critique, we have talked about Emile Durkheim. When we have discussed about positivism also, we have discussed about Emile Durkheim. So, we have done some discussions related to Emile Durkheim already. So, tell me what all things you know about Emile Durkheim.
Some macro
Yeah, firstly, giving importance to scientific approach, and then macro sociologist, and then he was a positivist, and then he was a functionalist, and one of the most important functional theorist. Okay, so we have seen grand theories are not here. Grand theories are by Parsons. Okay, so where we have discussed about grand theories, Abhishek?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can we say that according to Durkheim, society is sui generis?
Society is sui generis. That we are going to discuss. That is coming under some of the characteristics of social facts. That is nothing we have discussed so far. That is not related to what we have discussed so far. That I am going to discuss. Society will come into existence its own. That means it is giving importance to society. So Durkheim is actually giving importance to society. Anything else? And then what is the scope of sociology? Tell me that. That we have discussed in the chapter of scope of sociology. Studying social facts. Okay, so we basically need to discuss about this particular aspect here today. What is social fact? We will see the definition of social fact. We will see the characteristics of social fact, and we will also see the rules of studying social facts. So these are the points that you can write in your introduction. Like Durkheim gave emphasis for scientific approach. He was a macro sociologist. He stressed on positivist approach. He was an initial positivist, apart from Auguste Comte, Spencer, etc. And then one of the most important functional theorist. Okay, then gave importance to society over individual. So these are the main points that we should be writing in the introduction, so that you can incorporate. It is there in the PDF also. Shubhangi, your mic is on. Okay, we will go through the introduction here. Emile Durkheim is considered... See, please turn off your mic. It's very disturbing. You don't understand why. Unless and until if you don't want to talk about anything here, you don't turn on your mic. Okay, understand, here so many students are there. So, Abhishek, I am telling you, okay? So, this is 2-3 times today itself I have seen this. So, Emile Durkheim is considered as one of the founding father of modern sociology. So this is one statement that you can start with, one of the founding father of modern sociology. We have discussed about the father of sociology, Auguste Comte. So when we discuss about Emile Durkheim, founding father of modern sociology, we will also discuss, when we discuss about Weber, exactly the same thing. Weber is also considered as, that's why one of the, okay? Durkheim is considered as the first sociologist. So why? Because Durkheim was the first person who started writing as a sociologist. He gave distinct sociological or distinctively sociological explanation. He gave distinctively sociological explanation, and thereby giving a legitimacy to the discipline. At the same time, Durkheim was concerned with establishing sociology as a scientific discipline based on positivist principles. His contribution in terms of defining the scope of sociology. So how he defines scope of sociology, we will see today. We have already seen that. That is in terms of social facts. Formulating new methods and perspectives and demonstrating their use is very well known. Okay, so we will see what is the scope of sociology according to Emile Durkheim. That is nothing but study of social facts. So here we are going to discuss in detail about that. Formulating new methods. This also can be a question for you. From different theories, you're going to see different methods. Like in case of suicide, you will see multivariate analysis. Okay, you will also see statistical techniques. In the theory of religion, we will talk about indirect experiment. Like that, various methods you will see, and we will have to discuss about that. Perspective means mainly the functionalist perspective, and one more perspective that you can see is actually evolutionary perspective, because in his theory of division of labor, we will try to understand that evolutionary perspective similar to Marx. So if at all there is a commonality between Marx and Durkheim, it is this part. So okay, they both of them are using this particular perspective. This is a similarity. There is one more similarity. Can anyone tell me that between Marx and Durkheim? Both of them are actually criticized on the same aspect. What is that? Both are
Society.
macro sociologists. Yeah, both are macro sociologists. Both are giving importance to society. Apart from that, the perspectives and everything, the views and everything is different, totally opposite. But both are using evolutionary perspective, and both are macro sociologists. Okay. Now we will just see the socio-intellectual context of Durkheim. So you will get some idea about the introduction. Okay, or that context. Durkheim wrote towards the end of 19th century, when industrialization had established itself and a modern society was a reality. France was still recovering from the social chaos following the French Revolution. Okay, so still there are issues in the French society. You can see, even though that revolution was there, it took a lot more time. It took around 80 years for getting it established in France. Okay, so the democracy which is getting established properly took around 70, 80, 90 years in French society. So the French society was in total chaos. That we have already discussed when we discussed about the emergence of sociology also. The democratic institutions are still emerging. There were doubts among the section of population about the success of democracy, as a new social problem could not be resolved with the present democratic setup. Due to this, one of the most important concern of Durkheim in all his works has been the maintenance of social order. So you will see this Durkheim's concern is mainly the maintenance of social order. And that is the reason why he is trying to find everything in a functional way. He is trying to see everything in functional terms. Intellectually, Durkheim was more inclined towards French positivist tradition. So he is a positivist. So positivist means he has to follow the principle of universal law or proper theorization. So according to him, universal law of society are possible and science of society can be established. He was highly influenced by European thinkers like Adam Smith, Auguste Comte, Herbert Spencer, etc. So Adam Smith, you can see from his theory of division of labor, Auguste Comte and Herbert Spencer, that you can see from his use of positivist approach. So what we have discussed so far is actually, he is a macro sociologist. He gave importance to society. He considered sociology as a scientific discipline, and he was a positivist, and he used a functional perspective. So these are the main points which has to be there in the introduction, and all these you will understand in depth in the coming 2-3 sessions. Okay, so any doubts in that? If not, yeah.
Sir, can we say that Durkheim is highly influenced by the Auguste Comte's statement like consider social fact as thing?
We have not discussed that. We are going to discuss that. So please ask me this after discussing that
Sir,
part.
No sir, it's division of labor का आपने example दिया था ना अभी.
It is coming in social facts. Today I am going to discuss about that.
Okay sir.
So, okay. Yeah, so I will take the doubts towards the end so that everybody will be fine. So I am getting the messages also regarding the same. So we'll take the doubts towards the end. Otherwise it will be very disturbing for the other people. Okay, because these are questions which has not been taken so far. Social facts to be treated as things I am going to discuss today only. Okay, so theory of social facts is what we are going to discuss. So when we discuss about the theory of social facts, we need to first define what is social fact. Okay, so we'll try to understand what is social fact. So the first part of this theory, what we are going to do is understanding what is social fact. See, in common language, everything you can see in society is actually social fact. Religion is a social fact. Family is a social fact. Marriage is a social fact. Anything which is there in society, inequality is a social fact. Everything is social. Crime is a social fact. Suicide is a social fact. Division of labor is a social fact. For that matter, everything which is having some existence in society is a social fact. And the definition is like this. The social facts are the ways of acting, thinking, and feeling. Okay, social facts are the ways of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external to individual, which are external and are endowed with the power of coercion. There is a power of coercion by the reason of which they control over him. So I'll repeat it again, exactly the same thing you have to write in inverted comma. This has to be there in your answer if the question is asked about social facts. Social facts are the ways of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external to individual and are endowed with the power of coercion. There is a coercive power for social facts by the reason of which they control over him. For example, if you talk about family. Okay, so family is actually having a coercive power over the individual action. The actions that you are performing will have definite impact of family. So even when you are preparing for this exam, there is an impact of family. So anything that you are going to do, you will ultimately think of your family also. So social facts actually have a coercive influence over him and it controls him. You can talk about religion. Religion is also coercive in nature because it can control him. Okay, because of religion, people try not to do the offenses or the crimes, sins, etc. So social facts means definition is like this: ways of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external. It is not within individual, it is external to individual. It is outside the individual, like family, religion, politics, everything is external to individual, and which are endowed with the power of coercion. All these social facts have a coercive power upon the individual because they control the individual. So that's what you mean by social facts according to Durkheim, and there are some characteristics of social facts. Mahesh, can you turn off your mic? How many times I should tell this to everybody? So first one characteristic is externality. First one, externality. So externality means that you can see from the definition itself. I have told you social facts are the ways of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external to individual. So from the definition itself you can understand there is characteristic externality. That means it is kept outside the individual. That means social facts are actually sui generis. Sui generis means it will come into existence its own. The family will come into existence its own. Nobody is creating it. Religion will come into existence its own. So all these are actually happening with the autonomous development of society. Society is evolving. When society is evolving, all these social facts will come into existence and individual have no role to do over there. So with the autonomous development of society, all the social facts will come into existence, and social facts are sui generis. It is having its own existence. In that way you can say independence also. Okay, so externality. Second, constraint. So I've told you there is a coercive influence, right? So it controls over him. So that is why there is a constraining influence over the individual in terms of coercion, that you can again take from the definition. Third one, social facts are general. So generality, that is a third characteristic. Social facts are general in nature. Don't study the specific instances. Okay, something which can be generalized. For example, family you can see everywhere, it is general. Religion is general. Okay, marriage is general. So all these are considered as social facts. Something which has to be generalized. Fourth one is independent. It is again similar to externality only, but social facts have its own independence. It stays outside the individual. Okay, so these are the main four characteristics of social facts, and from the definition itself you can actually get this four characteristics. Then rules of studying social facts. There are 4 rules of studying social facts. Before I discuss the rules of studying social facts, we can complete what all things we have discussed so far. So theory of social facts. Durkheim's theory of social facts are considered as significant on account of 2 factors. So why it is considered significant? Because Firstly, he defined the scope of sociology. This is one most important aspect. What is scope of sociology according to Durkheim? It is nothing but study of social facts. So he defines scope of sociology in terms of specific subject matter. What is that? Study social facts. What about Weber? Weber saying study of social action. We will discuss in the next thinker, Weber. Okay, and also secondly is demonstration of the use of methodology. So he will discuss various methods here. His demonstration of the use of methodology to study the subject matter of sociology, and you can add that examples here once we come. He gave various rules to study social facts. That rules is what we are going to discuss next today itself, and emphasis on theory of social facts was to establish sociology as a scientific discipline. So if the body of knowledge need to be scientific, you have to form the theory. So he emphasized on theory to establish sociology as a scientific discipline, and he gave various rules also to study social facts so that you can objectively make a theory. So that's one of the again significance of this. And you can also talk about various methods that Durkheim going to give you through the theories that we are going to discuss in the coming sessions. Like I've told you, this is you don't want to worry about these words, multivariate analysis. In fact, when we discussed about variables in the third chapter, I've told you what is multivariate analysis, establishing the relation between two variables, two or more variables, and then indirect experiment. We will discuss that when it comes to the theory. Okay, so the study of social facts echoes the condition which Durkheim earlier laid down for establishing sociology as a science. In his book Montesquieu and Rousseau, Durkheim laid down some general conditions. All these conditions are known to you. If a body of knowledge need to be scientific, or if a discipline need to be scientific, it must have a specific subject matter, a definite field to explore. That means the scope should be defined very clearly. What does this mean? This means a quantifiability. Okay, quantifiability, and emphasis on types and not individual phenomena. That's what we have discussed now, generality. You don't study the individual aspects, study the general aspects. So focus on the types. If you can identify the types, then it is fine, and not the individual instances. Between two people, A and B, there may be inequality, but it is not a role of a sociologist to study that. But A as a section and B as another section, if there is individuality, then you need to study, because this is something which is general. This may be middle class, this may be upper class, or this may be a Brahmin, this may be a Kshatriya. That's what you mean by type. Okay, you can classify into types. Formulate general principle, that means theories, and use of scientific methods for the purpose of objectivity. So all these are what we have discussed before, exactly the same thing as what I have written here: specific subject matter, etc., general types. Okay, so laws, same thing only, it is repetition. Later on in his book Rules of Sociological Method, Durkheim defined the subject matter of sociology, as well as he suggested a methodology for studying the subject matter. According to him, the subject matter of sociology is what? It is the social facts. Now you see the definition of social facts, exactly the same thing you need to reproduce. I repeat it again. Social facts are the ways of acting, thinking and feeling which are external to individual and are endowed with the power of coercion by the reason of which they control over him. So just mug it up and reproduce the same thing. You don't have much to remember in sociology. Okay, so unlike other optionals, so that these definitions you should be knowing clearly. Social facts are the ways of acting, thinking and feeling which are external to individual and are endowed with the power of coercion. They have a power, coercive power, by the reason of which they are capable of controlling the individual. So every action of you is actually controlled by certain social facts. It could be your family, it could be a religion, it could be the related to marriage or anything, it could be the political system, or it could be division of labor. Okay, so your all actions, all these are external to you. You have no power to control this, and which is having a coercive influence. Why in your job you are in a particular position? It is because of division of labor, which is nothing but a social fact, which is totally external to you, and it is having a coercive influence. If you don't follow, you will lose the job. You cannot do anything over that. Okay, so it controls the individual. So that's what the meaning of social facts. Thus, Durkheim considers social facts are this is social facts are those complexes which define ways of acting, thinking and feeling. These complexes are nothing but the social phenomena which exist in society in terms of social institutions. That's what I've told you right now, all those social institutions. Further, Durkheim clarifies certain characteristics of social facts. What are they? Externality, constraint, generality and independence. Okay, so externality means social facts exist outside the individual and must be seen apart from the individual. Social facts are sui generis. Sui generis means it comes into existence its own. It is having its own existence, their own life. It doesn't matter what the individual is thinking, what the individual is doing. Okay, so family will have its own life. The religion will have its own life. It will be there. These social facts are part of autonomous development of society, which happens independent of individual will. Society is developing that have nothing to do with the individual will. What you think, what you do, it doesn't affect the society. And you can see here, he is giving primacy to society. Okay, constraint. That word meaning only here. Constraint means social facts have constraining influence over individual's action. The constraint is understood in terms of coercion. This again you can see from the definition. But this coercion is indirect. Okay, in the sense that in reality, individual thinks that he is acting out of his own choice. See, you all are thinking that you are preparing for this exam because it's your own choice. But ultimately, it is not your choice. It is because of so many other different aspects you are preparing for this exam, spending time and effort and money and everything, right? It may be because of family, it may be because of many other aspects. But actually, his actions are conformity to the prevalent social facts. Generality. Social facts are general in nature and should not be confused with individuals' interpretation or individual facts. These are in the nature of generalized perception followed in society. The science of society should not aim at studying the individual variation, that is, Durkheim overrules the study of exception. Don't study exceptions, okay? Don't study exceptions, and exceptions are not the subject matter of sociology. He overrules exceptions. You should study general. Thus, Durkheim prefers general over particular. For example, his emphasis will be to study religion as a social phenomena and not specific religion. It doesn't matter you are studying Islam or Christianity or Hinduism or Sikhism, etc. All the religion will have the same function only. So what you need to do? You need to study religion as such. So what religion have to do in society? That is what you need to study, not individual religions. Independence. Social facts exist independent of the will of the individual. Individual cannot change social facts, and thus Durkheim once again gave primacy to society over individual. Exceptions means individual variations, the independent things, okay, so which is not established in society. For example, when there was a family, so from family, when initially one or two people started living together, when live-in relation started, this was the individual variation. This was not generalized at that time. But now this is also established. So now sociologists should study the live-in also. That's what individual variations. Okay, next is rules of studying social facts. So when we discuss about the rules of studying social facts, there are 4 rules that we need to discuss. Firstly, rules of observation. Okay, see, this is, here comes the most important point. According to Durkheim, when you study a social facts, okay, the social facts should be treated as things. Now this is very controversial and this has to be understood very properly also. So his emphasis on considering social facts as things, do you think you can consider religion as a thing like matter? No. Family, politics, economic system, suicide, crime, etc. not possible. But he stresses on this aspect. You should consider social facts as thing. So his concern of considering social facts as things, or his emphasis for considering social facts as things shows his concern towards ensuring objectivity, because in natural science you are dealing with matter, means things. So here also, even though you are dealing with social institutions and individual, according to Durkheim, it has to be treated as things. Once you can do that, you can ensure objectivity, and then you can go for generalized explanation. Okay, so this is very important point. You should treat social facts as things. And social facts, it may be difficult, but it is not impossible according to Durkheim. And social facts, you may not be able to see social facts even though your rule is actually observation, but you can feel the presence of social fact objectively through a concept of collective representation. Durkheim is talking about collective representation. Collective representation means the collective representation of particular social phenomena or social institution. You see women having the sindoor on the head. What does that indicate? There is an institution of marriage. Or you see the temples or the masjids or the church. What does that indicate? It indicates the presence of religion. So through these examples or these collective representation, you can actually understand the presence of social facts. Okay, so Durkheim says social facts need to be considered as things, even though direct observation, the manifestly it may not be possible, you may not be able to see that, but the reality can be, you can feel that. Okay, so he introduced the concept of collective representation. Collective representation means the way the social facts are represented in society. So that's what I'm saying. In case of religion, you can see this masjid, the temples, the church, etc. You can understand the presence of religion. That's what I mean by collective representation. Then, rules of classification. So he specifically talk about this rules of classification. The sociologist has to classify between individual and general type. So you should be able to classify things into types. Okay, don't study the individual variations, study the types. It can be different types of social facts. So you should be in a position to classify into certain category, okay, before you undertake the study. Third point, rules of distinction. This is very important, and every Durkheim's theory is based on this only. Rules of distinction means you have to explain the normal situation and also abnormal or the pathological situation. So religion may be normal in some situation, it may go for pathological situation also. Similarly, division of labor may be normal, it may have a pathological situation also. Suicide is also considered as normal, but it can have this situation also. Similarly, crime is considered normal, but it can have a pathological situation also. So you should be in a position to explain what is normal and what is abnormal, what is normal and what is pathological. Okay, that is what you mean by rules of distinction. And finally, the rules of explanation. Rules of explanation means what? You should make the general law or the theories which need to be tested and which should be made objectively. So the same things is what you discuss here. So I repeat, rules of observation, in that he is talking about collective representation. He says social facts need to be treated as things. So his emphasis on considering social facts as things shows his concern towards ensuring objectivity in sociology by making it as a scientific discipline. Secondly, rules of classification. Classify the social facts into types. Thirdly, rules of distinction. Separate the normal and pathological state. Fourthly, rules of explanation. Use the law or theories for explaining the social facts. That means if you are talking about religion, make a law on religion. If you are talking about family, make a theory on family, like that. It must be testable also, and it has to be objective. So that is what we are going to discuss here. These are the four rules: rules of observation, rules of classification, rules of distinction, and also rules of explanation. Rules of observation. Social facts should be considered as things. According to Durkheim's, although social facts may be abstract phenomena, but their reality can be experienced objectively. Durkheim proposed the concept of collective representation, which are in the nature of objective manifestation of social facts. Objective manifestations are in the form of symbols which denote the presence of social facts. So you may not be able to see this, but you can understand the presence of social facts through some symbols. The existence of these symbols shows the existence of social facts. Durkheim's attempt of observing social facts as things shows his concern for objectivity. For him, it is an analytical way or a mental construct to visualize social facts as such, because social facts are not things like physical object. So social facts are not things like physical object, but you have to consider it like that. Then you can make an objective understanding of social fact. Rules of classification. According to Durkheim, the sociologist must study classes of phenomena and not each and every social fact. So individual instances, no. It should be the types or the classes. He identifies the class of a particular social fact on the basis of certain criteria of classification. Therefore, whenever a social fact is studied, it needs to be classified within specific types. For example, Durkheim differentiates between institutional and non-institutional social fact. What do you mean by institutional social fact? Family. Non-institutional, maybe you can say live-in relation. But now live-in relation is also institutionalized. So initially, if you talk about family, institutional, this is non-institutional. But this non-institutional after some time may get institutionalized also. Okay, so that's what written here. The former is accepted in society, that means institutional is accepted in society, whereas the latter may be in future accepted. That means the live-in which I have discussed, it was considered institutional, but later it may be accepted. Then it become institutional. Further, Durkheim defines structural or morphological social facts. What do you mean by that? These are social facts which give specific appearance to society or its morphology related to the shape, appearance, etc. It is seen in the way people live, the food they eat, the clothes they wear, housing pattern, population, distribution, etc. Yeah, the third one is rules of distinction. That means you have to separate the normal and pathological social facts. Okay, so one of the most important pillars of Durkheim's methodology is the distinction between normal and pathological social facts. Normal social facts are those which are generally present in society and are considered normal. For example, religion, family, crime, suicide, all these are normal. But the same can acquire a temporary abnormal form. That's when you need to study the pathological situation. Pathological social facts are those when a particular social fact acquire a temporary abnormal form. For example, the theories that we are going to discuss, we will discuss like this only. If any theory, for example, division of labor. First we will define, okay, and then we will see what is the function of division of labor. Then, or before that, we will talk about the cause of division of labor, then function of division of labor. Then we will talk about abnormal forms. So he basically make it different, the normal and abnormal form, or the normal and pathological situation. So that distinction you can see in Durkheim's theory. Also, separation of cause and function also you will see. I'll tell you why it is done tomorrow. Cause is separate and function is separate. Both are not the same. Durkheim considers crime as a normal social fact, but when the rate of crime increases beyond a limit, it becomes pathological. The normal states are studied by Durkheim in terms of its functional theorization. Okay, so fourth one, rules of explanation. Durkheim specified the rules to study the social facts. What are the rules? Complete objectivity has to be achieved. So objectivity is very important, and that means what? All the personal preconception must be eradicated. The explanation of social facts must be in the form of general theories. Durkheim proposed the formulation of causal functional theories. We will see this tomorrow. He separates cause and functions for explaining social facts. Methods used in natural sciences should be used in sociology for explanation. Durkheim used various methods like indirect experiment, statistical techniques, comparative analysis and multivariate analysis. All these we will see. His various studies like suicide and religion demonstrate the use of these methods for the purpose of explanation. So that's about this topic, and you can add the theories here. All the theories, all the points can be substantiated from the theories that we are going to study. So what we have discussed is related to social facts. Social facts means you need to remember the definition. Social facts are the ways of acting, thinking and feeling which are external to individual and are endowed with the power of coercion by the reason of which they control over him. So this is the definition part. This has to be there in your mind. And then 4 characteristics: externality, generality, independence, then what? Constraint. So these are the 4 characteristics. Explain that. And then rules. Okay, so when we discuss about the rules, 4 rules of observation, rules of classification, rules of distinction, and rules of explanation. So these 4 rules, these 4 characteristics and this definition, explain it properly, and you can substantiate with the theories that we are going to study from tomorrow onwards. So tomorrow we'll deal with division of labor, and then suicide, and then religion, like that we will complete, and then critical analysis. So I think 5 sessions is what generally I take for Durkheim. Yeah, now we can take up the doubts.
Sir,
Tell me.
sir, what type of questions are asked from this topic?
This topic directly, Durkheim's idea, social facts directly short note will be there, or Durkheim concept of social fact will be there, theory of social fact will be there, or Durkheim's use of social fact will be there, like that.
Okay, sir.
Direct only. Functionalist means trying to see everything in functional terms, identifying the function as their priority. For example, even inequality also they will try to see in functional terms. We will discuss that in coming sessions, 2-3 sessions you will understand in detail. You try to find everything in functional. Crime is functional, suicide is functional, because it is doing something good for the society.
Hello.
Yeah, Shubhangi, tell me.
Sir, please explain this social fact as things again.
Social-
What is meant by symbols? What kind of symbols?
Social facts. Why he is proposing social facts? Understand that context first. Because this is a subject matter. Why he is proposing a specific subject matter? Because his idea is to make sociology similar to science. So he is following this positivist approach, theory building, objectivity, science, etc. So in case of science, what you are dealing with? You are dealing with matter, means physical object. So physical object means like that. When you are studying social institutions, if you need to consider as science, you have to study in the same way. So you have to consider the social institutions as things. But is it possible for you to consider it as things? Is it like physical object? Can you go and take it? No. There is a very famous criticism by Weber. Social facts do not exist like the pebbles in the beach, just like go and pick it. Something like that. So it won't exist like that. No, these are not physical objects. You cannot see, you cannot feel, you cannot touch also. So you need to feel that. So Durkheim says it is difficult, but you can do that. There are some collective representations in society. That presence of social fact can be seen through some symbols. Right? I am talking about religion. How can I know religion as a social fact is existing in society? If you see a church, if you see a temple, if you see a masjid, what does that mean? It means there is existence of religion in that particular society. For example, if you need to talk about marriage, if you see a woman who is wearing the sindoor on her head, what does that indicate? There is an institution of marriage is there, like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.